supposed to beef with you. Why beef dirty to God? So fucking corn annoying. You know, just in case. Try to slam me for this pistol case. At least I let my kids play inside your bitch today. He spilled more beans than a chili place.
YouTube chicks. Get ready. You know what to do.
Oh man, niggas got a squabble. Niggas got a squabble.
I find him. You know, I like Chick Smooth. Chick Smooth is somebody I really enjoy listening to on YouTube because Chick just got an intellectual curiosity about things.
Oh boy, here we go, you guys. This could have gone all the way left. This has to be one of the funniest things I've seen in a long time. Just imagine being on a flight and you see one of your ops. What do? Especially when you guys hate each other, the energy is on site, but there's obvious consequences if you guys get it.
Nah, you can't shake with the ops on the plane. You can't shake with the ops on the plane.
Into a physical altercation. Now, Tony Yayo and Uncle Murda was on the flight together. Looks like they were going somewhere to go promote their new podcast. And you guys will never believe who was in first class with them as well. 50's #1 enemy, Ja Rule. So of course, being 50's right-hand man, you gotta get into it with him. This is why the industry is so small. No matter who you got beef with, you're probably going to run into that person somewhere, someplace. It could be at a show, event, party, somebody's birthday, a flight. You just never know.
This how you know, like, times really change. I kind of respect Ja Rule more than, and I like Tony Yayo and Uncle Murda more than Ja Rule. But I respect Ja Rule shit way more than I respect that shit. For one, y'all want some pussy shit. Like, y'all recording and shit. Like, bro, we from the streets. It's up. We know it's up. We know this shit ain't like this rap beef. Like, this nigga kind of like fuck Ja Rule career up, 50. This shit kind of serious. Niggas been stabbed, all kind of shit. Bro, we ain't doing no recording. What is we doing here? Like, what we doing here? Them niggas is recording them and shit. Like, yeah, man, listen, that's some clout shit. That's some clout shit, man.
Oh, now let's.
Ja ain't had no phone in his hand. My son was talking shit. Like, I fuck with Ja.
It's like Ja Rule was not backing down. Even though he was outnumbered, he was still letting them know what's up. Here's a video.
Guys, Ja Rule on the
plane. Police suck ass. Yeah, nigga, I think Ja Rule the street nigga for real out of all these niggas. These other niggas might be nerds. These niggas might be nerds, man.
Them know what's up. Here's a video.
Guys, Ja Rule on the plane. Suck ass up, you fucking sucker. Suck ass, Ja Rule on the plane. Suck ass up, you fucking sucker.
Ja Rule shit. It's the pillow Ja Rule threw at me. So fast, nigga.
And this way he was sitting before we got him out of here.
Now, as you guys heard, Tony Yayo confirms that Ja Rule threw a pillow at him. Looks like Ja was on timing and he wanted all the smoke. He went on Twitter to post this article from TMZ after they spoke with a witness on the flight. According to the witness, Ja was the aggressor and yelled profanities at them, saying he wanted to fight, then throwing a pillow at Tony Yayo. The crew stepped in and pulled both guys off the plane for a bit. Tony Yayo yelled back that planes are federal offenses territory and he did nothing wrong. Oh, come on, yo. Then Ja continues. He said, yo, I pop on these punks by myself on a plane. Pussy ass niggas. I threw the pillow at Yayo head cause you soft. Knocked your hat all the way off. Shit was hilarious. So, from what it seems like, looks like Ja Rule was ready for whatever, while Yayo and Uncle Murda was really not about the smoke. I'm just saying. Now, first off, nobody is going to be fighting on a goddamn airplane.
Shit, that's not the truth. That's the furthest from the truth. If you think no niggas won't fight on the plane, Niggas will fight on the plane. Ja Rule wanted to fight if them niggas wanted to. They ain't want to. Yeah, them niggas are scared. They don't want to go to jail. They don't want to lose that flying shit. You know, once you start fighting in the airport, nigga, you can't fly no more. Them niggas take that shit right from you.
Alright, these guys both know if you get into a fight, you're going to get put on the no-fly list, which as a rapper doing shows internationally or anywhere across the country is horrible. You're not going to be getting no money, nobody's going to want to book you, travel is going to be a nightmare, so that was never an option. Now, as funny as this whole situation was, at a certain point, these guys gotta grow up. I could kind of understand it if it was actually 50 Cent running into Ja Rule, but are we really proud to see Yayo and Uncle Murder get into it with Ja Rule on the plane? Is this really the example we want to set for our kids? And you know what? I don't blame Ja Rule for switching seats. Bro, you're not going to be giving me wet willies and doing weird shit sitting behind me. Now, of course, 50 Cent chimed in. You guys knew this would happen. I'm sure Tony Yayo gave him this footage while they were on the flight. 50 said he was by himself, so he had to make a scene so they could remove his scary ass nigga. Yayo said, "Suck my dick." The gay stewardess said it's going down. So as you guys can see, 50 is obviously happy and proud of his guys. But we gotta know the full story. What happened afterwards? What happened when you guys got off the flight? Did you guys get it in the parking lot? Did you guys confront each other outside? We need to know the full story of exactly what happened. And I'm sure we're going to get the full story on their podcast. Tony Yayo and Uncle Murder already launched the first episode of their podcast. And just like you guys imagined, it's a lot of arguing with each other.
Every time I talk, you can rewind the tape. You interrupt.
Get the fuck out of here.
You fucking up the show. I've been doing this.
Get the fuck
You
out
new
of
to
here.
this.
Get the fuck.
You're new to this. I've been doing this.
Okay.
When you was laughing on the jet.
Okay.
Now look, who's cutting you checks? Colin and
Shout
me.
out to the vat. You ain't cutting no
Fucking
check. Shout out to the vat. Get the fuck out of
Fuck outta
here.
here.
The fuck
I'm the star of the show, everybody.
He's definitely not the star.
He was laughing on the Jets. At the end of the day, let me see this Tales of Toronto shit. Tales of Toronto dropped some new shit.
Scarborough man creep.
Drizzy. Oh my God. What? Toronto's Belly's Games. Melvin cool. Galloway boys. Chester, they cool. Hit the light bulb. Follow the kid.
Scarborough man creep.
What's the worst place in Toronto?
Scarborough, literally Scarborough.
What you used to tell me? Stay away for the Scarborough goddamn, you know? The back door, you land.
Well, Toronto police are investigating a shooting in Scarborough that left 3 people seriously injured.
Toronto police continue the hunt for as many as half a dozen suspects in a brazen daylight shooting in Scarborough.
Police also announced arrests in connection to another mass shooting that took place at a Scarborough pub back in March.
Light button. Hit that motherfucking like button. Beware. Follow the kick.
Scarborough has always been talked about more than it's been understood. In the news, it's often reduced to crime and headlines that paint the entire borough with the same brush. To social media, it's basically a meme, a place where every caption starts with Scarborough man, and every comment section is full of jokes about never going east of Victoria Park. This video is about tracing where that narrative came from and how it grew. By looking at Scarborough's gang culture and the moments that shaped public perception, we're breaking down why the media came to see Scarborough the way it does, and how those stories grew into a reputation that still came to see Scarborough the way it does, and how those stories
Young boy throwing that shit up. Alright, little nigga.
grew into a reputation that still follows the borough till this day.
It's been a bad year for gun crime in the country's largest city.
Malvern is not a bad area, we just have some bad people.
In the language of the urban analyst, this is a troubled community. Its name is Malvern. It keeps ending up in the news in stories about violent crime.
Long before the headlines, Scarborough was already divided by invisible lines. Tension started in school hallways, apartment stairwells, and on crowded bus rides home. By the early 2000s, those unspoken borders were firmly in place, and certain neighborhoods had begun to carry reputations that never faded. At the center of that early era was a name that would echo for decades: Malvern. Built in the mid to late 1970s in the northeast end of the borough, Malvern was designed around opportunity, but as the population grew, government funding and services didn't keep pace. Poverty became concentrated, and by 2005, Malvern was officially designated one of Toronto's priority neighborhoods. By then, Malvern's name was already traveling. Going back to the mid-1990s, groups of local youth, many of them with Jamaican, Trinidadian, Tamil, and Guyanese roots, had begun forming crews tied to specific blocks and streets like Impringham, Crow Trail, and Wixon Trail. What started as unorganized groups hanging out gradually evolved into something more structured. By the late 90s, members of what became known as the Malvern Crew were heavily involved in drug dealing and break-in-enters. But over time, news headlines increasingly tied the area to gun violence. But what really set Malvern apart wasn't just crime, it was longevity. While gangs in other parts of the city faded or broke apart, Malvern's identity survived. When older members went to jail or disappeared from the streets, younger ones stepped into the space they left behind. By the mid-2010s, a new generation had taken over the block, including movement.
That's how them shit's gonna die. You got little niggas, YNs growing to the game. Keep going. It's not a good thing though. But when you're in like a big hood, that's what normally happens. If it'll just be one block. That shit might die out after a while. But if you like in a projects, hood type shit, that shit never gonna die. Yeah, because this little niggas looking up the niggas. It's 10-year-olds looking up the 14, 15-year-olds, 15-year-olds looking up to the 19-year-olds, and 19-year-olds looking up to the 25, 30-year-olds, and shit just go on and on.
Movements like 44, which also doubled as a rap collective tied to artists such as Sav, Dash, and KS Bands. This generation didn't just inherit the Malvern name, they inherited the beef. Often referred to as the Orton Park Bloods, this rival set sat close enough to Malvern that people crossed paths constantly, and friction built through individual disputes and overlapping friend groups. The ongoing tension between the 44 movement and Orton Park carried real consequences, costing multiple lives over the years. One of the most well-known cases was the murder of Orton Park-based rapper Dope Boy DQ.
Nah, I ain't see the baby King. Nah, I ain't see it. Send it to me.
Whose death was later tied in court to LB, an individual identified by police as being affiliated with the 44 movement. But Malvern's most intense and infamous rivalry would eventually be with the Galloway Boys, a street crew rooted in the apartment buildings along Galloway near Kingston Road that would later become known citywide.
Make no mistake, gangs rule the territory, and the so-called Galloway Boys have owned these parts for a long time.
The roots of the Galloway Boys stretch back well before the violence of the early 2000s. The group began forming in the 1980s, largely among Jamaican immigrant families living in the public housing complexes along Galloway Road. At the time, Scarborough, like many parts of Toronto, was seeing the early rise of street gangs tied to economic hardship and the spread of crack cocaine.
CBS News reporter Victoria Carderi has the latest dramatic evidence tonight that crack use is spreading wider, far from the cities and closer to the children.
Former Toronto police officer Ross McLean later recalled that this period marked a turning point for the city, as crack made drug dealing more accessible and profitable in impoverished neighborhoods. Before that, drugs like cocaine and heroin were expensive and controlled by fewer players. Crack changed that overnight. In those years, residents referred to the area simply as G-Way, and people identified themselves as North Side or South Side depending on...
Crack fucked the hood up, nigga. Niggas couldn't afford coke and dope and shit. Niggas probably could afford the dope. Niggas couldn't afford that coke. Niggas start making that crack for niggas. Yo, what up though? Joe.
On which side of Kingston Road they lived on. The name Galloway Boys was originally coined by police, but it was eventually adopted by the group itself.
This resulted in a violent confrontation between a number of gang members from the Galloway Boys and from the Malvern Crew that involved a number of firearms.
Over time, the Galloway Boys splintered into multiple subsets, some loosely organized, others more structured, with names like the Get Mad Crew, the Bad Seeds, and later, the Throwbacks. The Throwbacks emerged in 2002, formed by Tyshawn Riley, who had risen to prominence within G-Wave following the killing of Norris Allen on October 10, 2002. Allen, widely regarded as a key figure in the neighborhood, was shot and killed while sitting in his car outside his home. According to later court testimony, Riley believed Allen had been murdered by members of the Malvern crew. In response, Riley organized the Throwbacks as a small, tightly knit assassination squad aimed at exacting revenge. What followed was a brutal escalation. In the weeks after Allen's death, Eric Mutiza, a 23-year-old Malvern-based crack dealer, was gunned down, and the rivalry between Malvern and Galloway intensified into an all-out gang war.
Niggas got back ASAP. They got back on him immediately. Niggas said them niggas, that crew was the assassins. Run it back. The fucking Throwbacks is the assassins for them niggas. For the Galloway boys.
The Throwbacks emerged in 2002, formed by Tyshawn Riley, who had risen to prominence within G-Wave following the killing of Norris Allen on October 10, 2002. Allen, widely regarded as a key figure in the neighborhood, was shot and killed while sitting in his car outside his home. According to later court testimony, Riley believed Allen had been murdered by members of the Malvern crew.
Hey, if you in here right now, you watching this with me, hit the like button, man. It helps. Yeah, it helps. And if you're watching this on our repost it, hit the like button. It helps. God damn it.
Response, Riley organized the Throwbacks as a small, tightly knit assassination squad aimed at exacting revenge. What followed was a brutal escalation. In the weeks after Allen's death, Eric Mutiza, a 23-year-old Malvern-based crack dealer, was gunned down, and the rivalry between Malvern and Galloway intensified into an all-out gang war. The conflict grew even deadlier after a major firearms theft in December 2003, when dozens of rifles, machine guns, and handguns were stolen from a Scarborough gun collector's home while the owner was out of the country. Prosecutors later argued that the
That's a nice lick. That's a nice lick.
influx of those weapons home while the dozens of rifles, machine guns, and handguns were stolen from a Scarborough gun collector's home while the owner was out of the country. Prosecutors later argued from a Scarborough gun collector's home while the owner was out of the country. Prosecutors later argued that the influx of those weapons dramatically shifted the balance of power on the streets, allowing Galloway-aligned shooters to operate with unprecedented firepower. Sadly, throughout this gang war, many of the victims weren't even gang members, rather, innocent young men mistakenly targeted after being caught in the wrong place at the wrong time. One of them was Simeon Peter. On the afternoon of January 9, 2004, 19-year-old Simeon Peter was walking his girlfriend to her Scarborough home when a man approached from behind, withdrew a pistol, and emptied the gun's magazine into the man's back. It was a case of mistaken identity. Peter had been misidentified as a Galloway boy by Warren Abbey, a member of the Malvern crew. The case of mistaken identity didn't end there. On March 3rd,
Yeah, that should be the worst. When you see niggas die on some just, that's some real young, that's some real YN shit. Just like going to a neighborhood and just killing somebody, like, just because they're young, like, that's what happens a lot of times. And that's what happens when you live like in a big hood. That's why it ain't that bad when it's a block gang type shit. When it's a block gang where it's just like one block or two blocks, you kind of know all the ops. When you beefing with like projects and this, yeah, nigga, any young nigga around this bitch getting hit. That's how niggas is thinking, not me. I ain't saying that's how I'm getting on them. But yeah, that's how that shit been going. Niggas is on some.
2004, members of the Galloway Boys carried out a drive-by shooting at a busy Malvern intersection, firing from an SUV into another vehicle. Brenton Charlton, a 31-year-old restaurant manager with no gang ties, was killed, and his passenger Leonard Bell survived despite being shot multiple times. Investigators later determined the attackers had mistakenly believed they were targeting Alton Anthony Reed, a man police had at one point considered a leading member of the Malvern crew. Court records later revealed that by late 2003, Reed had been trying to distance himself from the streets, fearing deportation and discussing plans to step down from the life. During the trial, the Crown star witness, Galloway Boys member Roland Ellis, testified that the killing was a direct result of the gang war sparked by the earlier death of Norris Allen, explaining how revenge and misdirected retaliation fueled a cycle of violence. In response to the growing violence tied to Scarborough crews in the early 2000s, Toronto police launched two major operations known as Project Impact and Project Pathfinder in May 2004. It was the first large-scale gang crackdown, and it was aimed squarely at the heart of the Malvern Crew and Galloway Boys. Early one morning, police executed dozens of search warrants across the city, arresting 75 morning. Police executed the heart of the Malvern.
I ain't gonna lie, 2004, you see the Malvern Crew get knocked. I'm not online on Kick, I'm only on YouTube. Follow the Kick though. Listen. If you was from the Galloway Boys and you seen Malvern Crew get knocked, nigga, you should have got low. When you see your ops get indicted, you should know that they coming for you next. 9 times out of 10, they looking at your ass too. Damn, numerous murder investigations. These niggas shit wasn't that bad. These niggas got murdered, all kind of shit in these shit. Galloway Boys putting in that work.
Malvern Crew and Galloway Boys. Early one morning, police executed dozens of search warrants across the city, arresting 75 alleged gang members and laying nearly 600 charges and seizing 28 firearms and other evidence tied to ongoing shootings and drug offenses. Although the raids and arrests significantly disrupted the operations of both crews and forced older leaders off the street, by the early 2010s, these rivalries had entered a dangerous phase. The original leaders were aging out, but they still were able to make moves from inside their prison cells. They recruited a younger generation that was more volatile, growing up in an era where social media amplified every slight.
Now, police say this is a new generation of Galloway Boys. The leadership was dismantled in 2004, but now younger members are trying to make a name for themselves.
And that's what's terrifying, because they're younger and they're wannabes, which make them more even reckless and brazen than the king of recklessness and brazenness.
And he says this new generation doesn't respect the old boundaries.
What we are looking at right now is something much more disorganized and much more reckless and much more dangerous.
What once might have been handled quietly was now public and permanent, turning online disrespect into real-world consequences. And by the summer of 2012, everything that had been building for years was about to collide.
Good morning, this is Breakfast Television. We will have the latest for you on this East End shooting.
News of the worst mass shooting in this city's history. Jarring images of panic, fear, and disbelief.
Is this empty?
July 16th, 2012, a petty beef between rival gangs erupts in a barrage of bullets at a community barbecue on this street. 25 people were hit. 2 didn't survive. 14-year-old Cheyenne Charles and 23-year-old Joshua Yasse.
That's how that should be. There'll always be some randoms. Always be getting to bang out to be some random people getting killed. But I ain't gonna say he random. He might be banging. I don't know. But them shits back in the day. I don't know now. Like niggas, yo, the hood's so fucked up, bro. Niggas don't even throw barbecues and cookouts and shit like that no more. Word up, it's rare. You might catch one, but it's rare. It's rare. Niggas don't even do that shit no more. Like, I ain't been to a cookout in years, and if I did, it's like some family shit tucked off in the cut, like hood shit. Like, that shit been a dub for some years now. Niggas been wildin'. Yeah, that shit used to be regular at cookouts. Somebody gonna die, somebody gonna get shot, some shit like that gonna happen. Word. And niggas used to still go, knowing that some shit like that gonna happen. Shit was like almost like a 70% chance. I don't think I've been to a cookout when I was younger. I don't think I've been to no cookout or nothing with nothing happening at the end or to end it. You know what I know now, niggas are dope. I ain't even going to no cookouts no more. Nigga tell me they having a cookout, it's in the hood somewhere or back, I'm good. Yeah, I'm straight. Yeah, all it takes is one Instagram post now.
A block party was originally organized for July 15, 2012, at the Danzig Street housing complex by a resident as an afternoon barbecue for children in the community. In the days leading up to the event, however, the gathering took on a very different life online. Beginning around July 7th, a Twitter account linked to 19-year-old Galloway Boys member Nahum Segazab, aka Gifted, began promoting the event as a Hennessy block party. The posts promised a live DJ and dozens of bottles of Hennessy cognac, free for anyone who showed up. Over the course of a week, more than 24 open invitations were shared publicly and spread widely under the hashtag Hennessy Block Party. Due to a rainstorm, the event was delayed to Monday, July 16th, and officially began around 2 p.m. in the backyard of the original organizer. Early in the afternoon, it resembled what it was meant to be, a children's party. Tenants contributed food and activities, including face painting and an improvised water slide. Gifted handed out school supplies and basketballs. The children's portion of the event was supposed to end by 5 p.m., but by that point, adults had already begun gathering in the surrounding parking lot. As the evening went on, the Galloway Boys effectively took control of the area. By 7 p.m., alcohol was being openly consumed to loud hip-hop music, and by 8 p.m., more than 200 people packed into the complex's narrow laneway. Some residents, uneasy about the number of unfamiliar faces, took their children inside. One resident later described the scene as feeling like a jammed nightclub with no room to move through the walkway. Multiple noise complaints were made to police, and bicycle patrol officers attended the scene, but the party was allowed to continue. According to the CEO of Toronto Community Housing at the time, the event had not been sanctioned and should have ended before 9 p.m. As the crowd grew tighter in the laneway, tensions began to rise. Members of the Galloway Boys started G-checking, confronting people they did not recognize and telling anyone believed to be from rival areas to leave. Among those confronted was 18-year-old Shaquan Mosquito, aka Bam Bam of the Malvern crew, who had arrived unarmed.
Why the fuck would you go over there?
Guido, aka Bam Bam of the Malvern crew, who had arrived unarmed. He was ordered to leave by Nayat Segazab, aka Gritty, Gifted's 15-year-old brother, who threatened to shoot him if he did not go immediately. Angry at being forced out, Bam Bam sent a series of tweets urging others to come and shoot up the party. Shortly after 9 p.m., Gifted was warned about the threats. He armed himself with a .40 caliber handgun and told others to be ready for a possible shootout. Not long after, 17-year-old Folorenzo Owusu, aka Chaotic, a member of a group known as the Chester Lee Crew, arrived at the party. We'll dive more into that crew later in the video, but Chaotic was immediately confronted by Gifted, who displayed his gun and challenged Chaotic to fight if he didn't leave. At approximately 10:40 p.m., less than 2 minutes after
Born and raised on Galloway and Lawrence, Charles, please. Well, Toronto in the building. I ain't gonna lie. Niggas was on bullshit. Niggas say, yo, we could fight. Back to him out and say, yo, we could fight. But, like, what up? Yo, bullshit. Hit the like button, y'all. Man, hit the like button, man. That's how we get more people in here. And that's how this should help that shit. You went to school with Gifted? That's what's up, man. Damn. So, yeah, you know if this shit facts up on bullshit. Because, you know, some of these documentaries be bullshit. Not saying, because I fuck with Six Tails, not saying this shit, but I done seen documentaries about people I know, and I'll be like, Cab. Oh, yeah, it's Cab. Yeah, that nigga looking like fucking King Von, nigga was fucking Urkel.
To fight if he didn't leave.
Clipbot, what up, though?
At approximately 10:40 p.m., less than 2 minutes after arriving, Chaotic opened fire with a 9mm handgun, shooting Gifted twice, once in the arm and once in the abdomen. One bullet passed through Gifted and struck.
Word, boom, Gifted! Gifted out there acting stupid. Gifted out there bugging. G-checking niggas and got clapped. Run it back.
Chaotic to fight if he didn't leave. At approximately 10:40 p.m., less than 2 minutes after arriving, Chaotic opened fire with a 9mm handgun, shooting Gifted twice, once in the arm and...
Look, nigga. Yo, Reeves, what up, though? Came in there trying to G-check him, nigga. Boomed him.
Once in the abdomen. One bullet passed through Gifted and struck a bystander. As Gifted fell to the ground near 207 Danzig Street, he reached for his weapon and fired 11 rounds back at Chaotic as Chaotic retreated through the crowd, striking him once in the leg. At the same time, a third, unidentified shooter opened fire with an Uzi-style submachine gun, spraying 14 rounds into the densely packed crowd. In total, 24 bystanders were shot.
God damn. Damn. That nigga got hit, started letting off. He just letting off. Hitting anybody, and everybody. And his man's off the Uzi. Oh my goodness. You supposed to chase that nigga down, man. Yeah, not at no cookout, my nigga. You supposed to chase that nigga down. Because they got shot that night? God damn. Matty. Hope you ain't capping. You know nigga just be in this bitch capping so much.
Two fatally, and 3 people were trampled as panic spread through the complex, including a pregnant woman.
Now to our breaking news from the East End. Numerous people have been shot in Scarborough. Safia Kambalia is now live at the scene. Safia?
Roger, a cameraman tell me they have numerous shots of victims. They've lost count. There's so many. Have a look. ETF is here on scene. Police officers just keep moving the perimeter wider and wider. There are countless ambulances. We heard report that EMS called in every single unit that they had. This is a massive scene.
The victims ranged in age from 22 months to 33 years old. Cheyenne Charles, just 14, was fleeing the initial gunfire when she ran directly into the line of fire from the third shooter. She was struck multiple times and collapsed, dying on the doorstep of 203 Danzig Street. Joshua Yasay, 23, a community mentor with an honors degree in criminology who hoped to become a police officer, was also killed when a bullet pierced his heart and lungs. It was never definitively determined whether he was shot by Gifted or the unidentified third gunman. A retaliatory shooting followed months later in Chester Lee on September 2nd. Police said 15-year-old Gritty tracked down Chaotic in retaliation for what he believed was Chaotic's attempt to kill his brother. Gritty located Chaotic riding a bicycle and shot him in the upper thigh, causing Chaotic to fall to the ground. According to court findings, Gritty then approached and aimed his gun at Chaotic's head, but the weapon jammed, allowing Chaotic to escape and be taken to hospital.
Somebody loves you, baby. Somebody loves you, baby. What? Nigga hit him in the thigh, got over him, stood over him.
The shooting triggered immediate police action. On September 3rd, a search warrant was executed at Chaotic's Chester Lee residence, resulting in cocaine trafficking charges. The following day, police carried out a search warrant at Gritty's home, where he was charged with 16 offenses, including attempted murder, weapons offenses, and cocaine-related charges. In the years following the Danzig Street shooting, the legal outcomes for those involved unfolded over a long and complex series of court proceedings. On April 11, 2014, Gifted pleaded guilty to 2 counts of manslaughter and 6 counts of aggravated assault. He admitted in court that by engaging in the gunfight, he bore responsibility for all of the deaths and injuries that followed, even if he did not fire every fatal shot. He was sentenced to 14 years in prison. In March 2020, he was granted day parole, which was later extended in October 2020 for an additional 6 months. Bam.
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie, that's a lie. That's a lie. 14 for that? That's why.
Bam entered a guilty plea on January 23, 2015, to charges including counseling to commit murder, possession of a firearm, breach of a prohibition order, and uttering threats. He received a sentence of 9 years in prison, minus time already served. Although investigators found no direct evidence linking Bam Bam to Chaotic, the court determined that Bam Bam's threats to return to the party and shoot it up had significantly escalated tensions and put members of the Galloway Boys on edge. In 2015, Gritty pleaded guilty to the attempted murder of Chaotic. Despite being a youth at the time, Gritty was sentenced as an adult to 7 years in prison and was released in January 2018. Chaotic maintained his innocence throughout a 7-week trial, pleading not guilty to charges including 2 counts of second-degree murder, attempted murder, aggravated assault, and reckless discharge of a firearm. Despite this, he was found guilty and on December 7, 2016, was sentenced as an adult to life in prison.
37 people were arrested during pre-dawn raids carried out across the GTA this morning. 23 guns seized. The target, the Chester Lee street gang, who police believe was in the business of dealing fentanyl.
Zerata, police say the Chester Lee gang has its roots right here in this Vic Park and Finch neighborhood. However, they allege the gang's activities extended right across the country. 700 police officers from 12 services were involved in the Project Kraken investigation, which targeted an East End street gang known as the Chester.
I ain't gonna lie, they smoke dick though. I see a lot of niggas get 7 years for attempted murder. That's kind of normal out here. Like, it depends on your record too. Like if you like your first crime type shit, first time being arrested, or even maybe sometime your second, you might got a good lawyer. You might get 7, 8, 9, somewhere around there. 7, 8, 9. You might get 5, 6, depending on how good the lawyer, how much money you spend. First charge though. Yeah. If you got like a attempt already, like Dick got already had an attempt before. So you know it's different. When you got like previous violence and you catch an attempt, when you catch an attempt, it's kind of different.
The Lee gang.
CLE not leaving. My team all stars with some champions. Mask on, I'll run up in your mansion.
While Malvern and Galloway dominated headlines, the violence didn't stay confined to those 2 names. Just south of those rival territories sat Chester Lee Boulevard, a pocket of Scarborough that rarely sought attention but was repeatedly pulled into the fallout. The Chester Lee crew was bred here, and they were never a large or flashy operation, and it didn't carry the same reputation as Malvern or Galloway, but its location made neutrality impossible. In the mid-2000s, Chester Lee Boulevard was split down the middle in what residents would later describe as a quiet civil war, up top versus down bottom. The area known as Up Top centered around the townhouse complexes on Chester Lee Boulevard and Down Bottom, referring to the Morecambe B Gate complex just an 8-minute walk away. Despite being separated by less than 600 meters, these 2 blocks developed rival identities. Residents say that proximity only intensified tensions, turning everyday disputes into long-running violence that shaped daily life. One of the earliest and most extreme examples came in July 2001, when 20-year-old Benjamin Allen treated the Chester Lee complex as what prosecutors later described as his own turf. Believing he controlled the area, Allen enlisted friends to beat 20-year-old Damian Barnaby and chase him out of the complex. As Barnaby fled south towards the Morecambe B Gate complexes, Allen emptied 11 rounds from a Glock 40 caliber handgun recklessly. One bullet struck Barnaby in the back of the head, killing him instantly, while others struck nearby homes. The case terrified the neighborhood so deeply that 3 Chester Lee families entered witness protection and moved out of the city. Allen was eventually
I'm telling you. That nigga can't air this shit out.
Convicted and later pleaded guilty to manslaughter, receiving a sentence equivalent to 17 years in prison. By 2005, that atmosphere of fear had become routine. According to a 2005 article published by Dearest Publishing, at least 5 shootings had already occurred on or near Morecambe B Gate by mid-year. It began on August 5th, when Melbourne Glendon Whittick was shot in the abdomen while walking to a bus stop on Victoria Park Avenue after attending a barbecue at the Morecambe B Gate complex. Police believe the suspects may have targeted him for his gold chain. 1 month later, on October 25th, 2005, a 22-year-old man described as being known to police was shot in the upper torso near the complex just after 11 p.m. Fortunately, he survived. Less than a week later, the neighborhood was shaken again. In the early morning hours of November 2nd, a father of 2 was shot and killed at the front door of his townhouse at 51 Morecambe B Gate. Residents identified the victim as Hasley McLean, known locally as Country, who was pronounced dead at the scene after being shot in the face and chest. Witnesses reported seeing 2 men dressed in dark clothing flee north through a nearby plaza and into a townhouse complex at 260 Chester Lee Boulevard. Over the following years, the tension never fully cooled. Neighbors openly described the killing as part of the ongoing up-top versus down-bottom turf war. One woman said she was afraid to open her door, explaining, "You don't know who's going to get it next." Another resident told reporters that
residents be dragging it. You don't know who's gonna get it next. They be dragging it sometimes. Like, watch out, man.
gunshots were so common he heard them nearly once a week. Even a former Ontario court judge, Judge Frank Lawform, who remarked that residents of the Chester Lee community could be forgiven for thinking they had woken up in Iraq. Chester Lee's up-top versus down-bottom conflict never received the same level of media attention as later Scarborough rivalries, but for those who lived through it, the damage was lasting. That
Nah, you got a chance. I know niggas that got shot in the head and lived. Yeah, I know niggas that got, like, personally, I know niggas that got shot in the head and lived. And nigga French Montana got shot in his face. Like, yeah, you can get shot in your face and live. Like, you get shot in your head and live. It's rare. I mean, the chances ain't close. Like, yeah, it's slim. It's slim. But yeah, I know some niggas got hit in the head and survived, but they fucked up too. Word.
quiet civil war eventually faded from the headlines, but it never truly ended, it evolved. As the up-top versus down-bottom divide cooled, a new generation stepped in, carrying old tensions into new rivalries beyond Chester Lee itself. In recent years, Chester Lee-aligned crews, including groups known locally as Top Goons and More Real, found themselves in open conflict with rivals from Parmer Court. One of the most notable incidents happened on April 15, 2017, when Toronto police issued a Canada-wide warrant for Sick People, a Parmer Court-based rapper, in connection with an alleged drive-by shooting that injured Top Goons members Uji and Pangs. The escalation was rapid. Just 2 days later, Samatar Farah, a Chester Lee resident and former George Brown College student, was killed in what police described as a case of mistaken identity. Following 11 coordinated raids, investigators arrested 2 Parmer Court gang members in relation to the murder of Samatar. Alexander Fountain, also known as Bang 5, and Tawfiq Stanley, aka Vanish, were hit with one.
Pangs in my top 3 for Toronto rappers, like not counting Drizzy and Tory and niggas. Pangs like top 3. You might be number 1 for me for real. You might be my favorite rapper out there, motherfucker, for real.
1 count of first-degree murder and 3 counts of attempted murder. Apart from block beefs, investigators have noted that Chester Lee gangs have began expanding into something bigger and more organized. In 2019, they made headlines again, this time not in connection to a single shooting, but at the center of a province-wide criminal investigation.
This is just one of 23 lethal weapons worth about $85,000 that police seized in a series of pre-dawn raids yesterday.
It's about money, and it's the motivation for money. At the end of the day, that's what it's all about.
700 police officers from 12 services were involved in the Project Kraken investigation, which targeted an East End street gang known as the Chester Lee Gang. 73 people are now facing 599 charges.
In a sweeping guns and gangs investigation known as Project Kraken, Toronto Police Service charged more than 70 people in connection with a violent tow truck turf war stretching across the Greater Toronto area. Police said the investigation uncovered firearms and drug trafficking linked to what they described as a younger and more volatile generation of Chester Lee-aligned members and their associates. According to Deputy Chief James Raymer, intelligence tied the network to attempted murders, jewelry store heists, large-scale drug trafficking, and alleged contract killings across Canada. During the raids, officers seized over 350,000.
Man, I gotta go, y'all. This is crazy, though.